On that note, I wanted to speak to my topic today for the khutbah on the importance of a concept within the Islamic tradition which is beginning to deteriorate, particularly in our times. And that is this concept of ithar. What is ithar? Ithar, you can loosely translate it as selflessness. To give consideration for somebody else over and above yourself. This is actually a civilizational code within the Islamic tradition. This selflessness is connected to the fact that our deen places a huge emphasis on character formation, on tahdhib al-akhlaq. The Prophet ﷺ is reported to have said, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. That indeed I have been sent only to perfect good character. So this deen is not just theoretical about a set of beliefs or concepts, but it's application, and it's a very applied deen. In fact, they say, actions speak louder than words, right? So in our akhlaqiyat, we have and in our character formation, what binds and connects human beings together is their capacity to be selfless. That is what connects and develops a community. Is that when people are working on the development of a community, they're thinking about not their own interests, but the interests of others. Let's just set the context of what we're dealing with today. American capitalism, since the Industrial Revolution, has completely shifted this very thing that humanizes the human being, that elevates the human being above the animals and the beastly kind of nature that we have. Elevates us to being beyond, and لَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ, to be even greater in the status than even the angels. Because of the fact that we make mistakes, but there's a degree of humility that is necessary, and in order to be able to rectify those mistakes, which is also related to this concept of having the humility to lower oneself, lower the desires and nature and ambitions of my own state for what? For the service of somebody else. And the capitalistic interests have actually reversed that entirely. The laissez-faire economy is built on this system that what you do for others in so much as it serves you. And that's the basis of a capitalistic system, is that you don't regulate the economy. Why? Because you will form alliances and relationships with people because of the fact that it will serve you ultimately. So when you go to the store and you put on a new jacket, winter jacket in this cold weather, and the salesman tells you that you look impeccable, he doesn't care if you look impeccable or not. The idea is that whatever, I need to be your friend in this moment and have husn al-mu'amala, good dealings with you. For what? For the very interest that it's going to serve my pockets. It's going to benefit me. Why is an economy is one gas station not going to knock up the prices all of a sudden in one day to 4 liters or something like that? Because $4 per gallon or $10 per gallon, because of the fact that people will just go elsewhere, right? So we have to work together and set some sort of standard so that everybody can benefit. Otherwise, somebody would say, I'm just going to knock mine, not make it up, but lower. I'm going to knock it down to $1.25, per gallon. Well, everybody's going to go to them. Sales will rise, but the problem is everybody else is going to come down on them and say, hey, you're messing up our interests and we got to drop our fees. Everybody's going to make less money. So let's work together so that we can maximize what? Profits. But our deen is such that we believe in an akhirah. right? It's a religion in which your actions will have some effect in the akhirah, in the hereafter. So, by being selfless, you are investing in your akhirah. By being selfless, you're investing in your akhirah. The Prophet ﷺ said, لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. That none of you are believers until you love for your brother what you love for yourself. Now one might think, what is the relationship between Iman, my belief, I believe in a God, I pray, I do the actions, and my dealings with other people? The reality is that in order to be selfless, to give somebody preference over yourself, you have to believe that there's an akhirah. Otherwise human beings won't serve anybody. Because if this is it, the world, and that's it, that's all we got, then I'm looking out for me, trying to maximize my interests. Right? So why would I logically do something for you if it's not going to benefit me at all? So you believe that, wait a minute, there's a God, there's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and there's an akhirah, and there's a hisab. So here's what I'm going to do. None of this matters. I'll give to you, I'll give, I'll put you above myself. Right? This is the civilizational code in which our deen rests upon. And if everybody is serving everybody else's interests, what do you naturally have? You have individuals who don't need to ask for their rights or needs, because everyone else is rushing to serve everybody else's needs before they can even ask for their needs to be served. So this is, and the Prophet ﷺ lived this, and he taught this to his Sahaba. Muhammadur Rasulullah والذين معه أشداء على الكفار رحماء بينهم تراهم ركعا سجدا يبتغون فضلا من الله ورضوانا. That Muhammadur Rasulullah, him and his Sahaba, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they would be fierce with the kuffar when they needed to, but they're very close-knit and merciful with one another. They were able to build a community. Upon building a community, you build a self. Once you build a self, you have selflessness, you build relationships. Once you build a relationship, you have a community that's healthy. And what do people naturally want to do? They want to join that community. Why? Because of the fact that selfishness ultimately leads to dissatisfaction. Nobody's happy. Look at the post-capitalism. Everybody, depression and anxiety is at its highest point since it was ever being tracked. Isolation is the disease of the time. Everybody is experiencing a sense of isolation, no connection with anybody else. And so everybody just looking out for the interest is a very isolating experience. It's a very dehumanizing experience. But when you have the opportunity to come into a community where people are doing things for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and serving each other, it sits with your fitrah, with your humanity. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you a ruh. كُلِّ مَوْلُودٍ يُولَعْدُ عَلَى الْفِطْرَةِ. Everybody was born upon this eternal good state. They have the ability to distinguish and see good. And so when people see good, they're naturally inclined to want to join and be a part of that group and that community. That's why one of the biggest forms of da'wah that we can do, which, the media is doing da'wah against us, right? To say that we are an aggressive people, we are, people that push people away. This was not the nature of the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. فَبِمَا رَحْمَةٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ لِنْتَ لَهُمْ وَلَوْ كُنْتَ فَضًّا غَلِيظَ الْقَلْبِ لَانفَضُّوا مِنْ حَوْلِكَ. That the Prophet ﷺ, فَبِمَا رَحْمَةٍ, it's from the mercy of Allah that He made you soft-natured, soft-hearted. For if He had made you harsh and hard-hearted, then people would never have wanted to come next to you. This is a deen that by our khuluq, by our, إِذَا أَرَادَ اللَّهُ بِعَبْدِهِ خَيْرًا مَنَحَهُ خُلُقًا طَيِّبًا. If Allah wants good for you, then He will give you good akhlaq, give you good character. And so what does good character naturally do? It attracts. It attracts people to them. In fact, modern psychologists find that the irony of selflessness is that by being selfless, you actually gain personal contentment and satisfaction. By being selfish, you gain happiness. Happiness is temporary. It's fleeting. Haha, I'm sitting with this, bunch of wealth, but over time I realize that I'm isolated, that I'm going against my own humanity. I feel a void. But the irony of selflessness is the more that you do for others, the better that you actually feel. Subhanallah. This is built into our tradition. The Prophet ﷺ prophesied this. He said, I don't fear poverty for you. He was sitting with a Sahaba. They had stones tied to their stomachs. What do you mean you don't fear poverty for us? This is a very puzzling thing, right? No, I'm not concerned about you guys getting money. Or I'm not concerned about you guys making it or becoming stable, financially stable. This is mind-boggling. We're working along trying to establish the da'wah, have some sort of stability, economic. We're sieged here. This is bad conditions. Why aren't you concerned about economic stability? In fact, the opposite. أَخَافُ أَن تُفْتَحَ عَلَيْكُمُ الدُّنْيَا. I actually fear that you will have good times economically. Very puzzling for the Sahaba. What do you mean good times? Why are you afraid we're going to have good times? أَخَافُ أَن تُفْتَحَ عَلَيْكُمْ كَمَا فُتِحَتْ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ. That I fear that the world and its treasures will be opened up for you just as it had been for the people before you. وَتُهْلِكَكُمْ كَمَا أَهْلَكَتْهُمْ. And it will destroy you as it has destroyed the nations before you. Isn't it the case that civilizationally, culturally, socially, we are being destroyed in this modern era? It doesn't matter, you live in Southside Chicago, go to the western suburbs where people live, they got wealth, none of them are happy. All the kids are on, what we call white-collar crime, or on, all sorts of drugs and things going on. People get their PhD, they're not happy. In fact, both extremes. Psychologists find that the more money that you make, the less happier that you get. What you need is stable conditions. That's sufficient. So it's a paradox. It's a shift of what we're being conditioned to believe and to think, that happiness or satisfaction is going to be through looking out for number one, which is what? The new generation is all about the me generation, obsessed with me. Look at me. I take a picture of wherever I go and post it on social media. There's an obsession with me. And this is causing incredible sicknesses. The Sahaba didn't live like this. In fact, that Ansari, from the Ansar, the Prophet ﷺ said, who's going to host this man? And he said, I will, Ya Rasulullah. Today we're more like, I don't know, do I have the time, work, schedule, funds? Wait, I got to call and ask my wife for permission, all sorts of barriers to do what? A simple thing. Ali radiallahu anhu used to say that if a person hasn't come to visit me for a week, I would ask, what sin did I commit that nobody has honored me? Nobody's coming to my door. So we are people that served and gave. لَن تَنَالَ الْبِرَّ حَتَّى تُنْفِقُوا مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ. You will never achieve righteousness unless you give up that which you love most. And what we love our most is ourselves. When the Prophet, لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى أكون أحب إليه من والده وولده والناس أجمعين. The Prophet ﷺ said this hadith, none of you are complete believers until I become most beloved to him. Umar radiallahu anhu said, I love you, more than anything. The only thing I love more than that is me. And he said, no, Umar. Even yourself, you have to love me more. This religion demands of us that we give ourselves to this religion. Right? And so that means service. كُنْتُمْ خَيْرَ أُمَّةٍ أُخْرِجَتْ لِلنَّاسِ. You are the best nation to have been sent to people. The tafsir of أخرجت للناس is أنفع الناس للناس. You're the most beneficial to people. تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله. That you admonish the good. Tell people, speak good. Say this is a good deed. And speak against fahsha and wrongdoings where you see it. And you believe in Allah, but you're serving people. Today we don't visit the sick. We don't know people in the masjid. Many of us have hajat, difficult times that we're going through. It's different. Everybody has a situation. But the thing is, we are suffering in silence, not connecting. That's not a community. So being able to know my neighbor, I've been praying Fajr Salah for the past how many months, I don't know the name of the person next to me. I don't know their state. To go and visit people at their house and to say, how are you doing? It's an ajib thing. When somebody calls me now, pick up the phone. What's the state? Assalamu alaikum. How are you? How's everything? How's family? Let's cut to the chase. What do you want? I haven't seen your call for like a year. Right? Nobody today calls for the sake of calling. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. And when you do it, it has such an impact because it's a thing that nobody does. That's a very human craving that people want. Is connection with other brothers and sisters. When somebody actually does it, it's ajib. Among adolescents, you teach them a little bit of this, and then other adolescents are becoming Muslim. Why? They say, these people actually they're fighting over the bill as to who to pay. Not because it's cultural, sometimes you have that. Brother, I'll take care of it. No, okay, fine, you got it. No, not the weak, inshallah, right? One of the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran regarding munafiqeen, the hypocrites, is يَقُولُونَ بِأَفْوَاهِهِمْ مَا لَيْسَ فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ وَاللَّهُ أَعْلَمُ بِمَا يَكْتُمُونَ. That they say what is with their tongues, what is not within their hearts. And Allah knows best what they conceal. So this trait of saying this weekend, oh brother, can you do it? Inshallah, I got you. But you have no intention of doing so. Right? And some people say, oh, just speak truth, just tell them I can't do it. That's one thing, but that's a lower state of iman. The higher state of iman is to step on this nafs and to say, yes, inshallah, I will spend a little bit of time with you. I will call you. I will check up on you. That's what that's what it is, right? So unfortunately, what we've become is so consumed in consumerism, right? Consumed in selfism, in anania-ism, all of these ism, to the loss of the fact that we've lost the spirit of our deen. I'll say one story just as an illustration of how far times have come. During the time of the tabi'een, there was a tabi'in, and he came to the masjid, and so there's one gentleman. He's leaving his house to go to Jummah, and he has a pouch of 100 dinars. 100 dinars, coins, right? That was their currency back then. And so he goes to the masjid, and he has a bag, and he thinks that he put the bag in he has the bag with him. He goes to the masjid. He prays the Jummah. After the Jummah, he looks around. Oh my goodness, now today it's our cell phone. Where's my phone, right? So he's looking around. I don't have my 100 dinars, my bag with all this money in it. Where'd it go? And he's looking around. And he's like, somebody must have taken this. So he waits in the masjid. And there's one person left in the masjid. And the person is making long salah. Nawafil, after the salah, dua and salah, nawafil. Supererogatory prayers. He thinks to himself, look at this guy. This guy probably took my bag. He is acting all righteous, so nobody will suspect him. He probably has my bag. So he goes up to him, he goes, hey, break your salah, shorten your salah, and give me my money. So the person realizes that there's somebody standing over him, so they shorten their salah, and then they ask, what's the problem? You took my money. And he said, I had 100 dinars in a bag, and you took it. I want it back. The person says to him, he says, come with me. Please, من ستر مسلما ستره الله في الدنيا والآخرة. That whosoever covers the faults of a believer, Allah will cover his faults on Yawm al-Qiyamah. Come with me. He takes him to his house, goes inside, gets 100 coins, puts it in a bag and says, here's your coins. This brother goes back home. Goes to home, he walks to the door and he finds his bag sitting at home. And he thinks, oh my goodness, I falsely slandered and accused this person. My bag was here this whole time. I took this guy's money. So he goes back, traces his roots back to the house of the brother. Before he goes inside, there's people. Who is this person? Who lives at this residence? He says, this is the great grandson of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He is the Sayyidul Raki'een wa Sajideen, Ali ibn Hussein, Zain al-Abidin. He is the great grandson of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that's who lives there. Oh man, what did I do? Of all the people in the world that I'm going to insult, the great grandson of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he knocks on the door. He's weeping. He's weeping out of regret. And the person says to Ali ibn Hussein radiallahu anhu, he opens the door and he says to him, the brother, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize, and he says, stop, wipe your tears. He says, I forgave you before you even stepped on my porch. And he said, and regarding that 100 dirhams, it's yours, for verily the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam never gives something and takes it back. This was the state once upon a time in which our tabi'een, our khulafa al-rashideen, our sahaba ridwanullahi ta'ala alayhim ajma'in used to live. Now imagine the impact and effect of that kind of iman, such that we can be so selfless as to give up such things, that because in reality these are the finite in exchange for the eternal. وَلَا تَشْتَرُوا بِعَهْدِ اللَّهِ ثَمَنًا قَلِيلًا إِنَّمَا هُوَ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ إِن كُنتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. Do not trade and sell the covenant with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for something so small. Indeed, what is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is much greater for you if you only knew. بارك الله لنا ولكم في القرآن العظيم ونفعنا بذكر الحكيم إن الله تعالى جواد كريم ملك بر رؤوف رحيم.